Don't blink. It's your boy Ink. Welcome to the show. Hope that you're doing well because I'm having a wonderful day on this 14 October. We're gonna go to sleep right now because your boy is tired, right? Why else would we go to sleep unless we're tired? Um, but I got a comment on YouTube, and I really want to address it. And tomorrow we're doing a 24-hour stream of Metaphor with Fantasio. So if I'm not doing this video right now, you're gonna have to wait until if you behind my eyes. Listening to Chris Motionless in White, isolated vocal for Song of Life, and yeah. If I don't do it right now, I'm gonna have to wait until the 16th, as we're just 14 today. Yeah, it's the 14, 10 o'clock. I'm tired as fuck. Listening to music, posting on social media, as you do, as I do, as your neighbor do. And a question came up. Yesterday I did a video called Struggling with ADHD, My Life Story, right? And somebody wrote a comments in the on the ID, and it's just because TikTok will allow me to do a video. Pain are synchronized. This song, Motionless in White, Sign of Life, isolated vocal. How did the death find a sign of life? And yeah, so they were asking me, but you seem good at social interaction. How did you become good at that? So I don't think it's a good story. I'd rather not talk about it because it's not proud memories. However, it is intricate, or it is imbued in the fact of who we are today. So let's take the mythical. Let's take the very used sentence of baby step. So think about a kid who's going to shit, right? And think about this kid. Like I told you yesterday, we started taking medication for ADHD. I was 6 years old, right? Stopped taking them at 18 years old. So I had social interaction, right, at 6 years old. But then till 18, all my social interaction, which were mostly at school, were dictated by medication, right? And yes, I had social interaction like my family on the weekends, but my family has this wonderful thing where we come and fight, where blood doesn't really matter. And to a certain extent, some of my really, 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 really close friends are blood to me. They're not literally blood, but they feel like blood. And because they feel like blood, then a friendship is worth fighting for. See? So at 18, I'm this new guy, right? And I'm willing to have like to have a social interaction, right? And again, I don't think this is a good story to tell. I don't want to make it this video, but I just did a video, okay, called, you heard it, Struggling with ADHD. And because I did this video, Struggling with ADHD, comes in the second part. And it's one thing to say. I told this story yesterday to show you the real me, to tell you the story of Stefan, not Inventera, Stefan, which is my real name. So the importance of who I became. And I was like, okay, well, there's some bad stuff, which is the concern of telling a majority of my life, because I'm 31 years old, you guys know, but I've been taking those medication for 12 years, right? So do 31 minus 12, that is 19 years, right? 12 and 19 aren't that close, but I wouldn't go to say, as far as saying a majority of my life I didn't take medication. So in grade 11, which is the end of high school, I don't know if you guys say sophomore or senior. I think you guys say senior in English, right? In French, pardon my French. And I was known as the weird guy. So like I said, okay, I was this guy who was really quiet at time and really excited at time. The effect of the medication versus the effect of the sugar I would take. So yeah, so I was seen as this weird kid. And if I'm completely honest, 6 years old Ink didn't know who he was. 12 years old Ink didn't know who he was. 18 years old Ink never been more confused about who he was. There was two reality. There was the Ink on medication and the Ink without medication. And for some reason, people preferred the Ink on medication. Because I was zonked out. I wouldn't, like how people would talk to me and I wouldn't talk back, and they would talk to me and I wouldn't even understand what they were saying. This is how bad I was. I was taking almost double the usual or the average dose of Concerta, right? Enough to zonk out a horse. My doctor would actually make those jokes. This is enough to tranquilize a horse. Now they're jokes, right? Are they good jokes? Arguable. Did little Inky freaked out? I did. So people would talk to me, and I was a good listener. But I wasn't a good listener because I didn't know what the fuck we were talking about. I couldn't retain information. And that's the thing also with ADHD that I didn't mention yesterday. I don't know if it's a general thing with ADHD, but in my case, in my very case, ADHD presented itself as me understanding, me putting the knowledge, and I'm gonna put in an image so people who are more visual, right, are gonna be seeing it, and people who are more auditive are gonna hear me explain it. So we get two people with different cognitive perception, understanding the same thing, which is a very simple thing. So they would let me compartmentalize. So basically, you take a dresser and there's compartment, and you put clothes in one, you put your underwear in another one, you put your clothes in another one, you hide the stuff in the underwear drawer, right? And in your mind, there's a secret jar, right? And with information, my brain was doing that, my brain. And for ADHD, for the medication, this information was so amazing because I couldn't access it. If you asked me a question, I wouldn't be able to answer. However, on paper, if a question came up and I knew the knowledge, I was able to go in my mind and take that knowledge out, right? And the best thing about that is you don't really know how much you know. You don't really know how much you know until you do realize how much you know, and you're like, holy shit, that's gonna take me a long time. I'm gonna do a video after this, and I'm gonna talk about the best lesson I've never learned. So coming back to the subject of socializing with ADHD, I was seen as this weird kid. Now, there was a very, very special thing, and this is preconceived notion at its finest. Again, if you listen to what I'm saying, we compartmentalize information. So I knew those friends that I made in high school weren't real friends because I never spent time with them. They were just friends because we were in the same class. I didn't have any bond with them. I didn't have any link with them. And that's my problem. That's my fault. I didn't make... The one friend that I have from high school is the only person I made an effort to keep those friendship on, which is Carl Dubois. Sup, mon Carl? And it's kind of crazy because we're still friends to this day, years and years later. And Carl didn't have it easy. I'm not an easy friend to have. And Carl always gave me the chance, always gave me the time of day, always gave me the, always knew how to deal with me, right? So I'm thankful for Carl. And I kind of knew those friendship were not meant to last. And then I knew deep down that I wasn't going to find a job right away because my as I said, I was raised by my father. My mom was always there, but my mom only had me 2 days out of 14. And my father was a really, it's not his fault. So my grandfather told my father, you're not going to finish high school. You're going to work. And my father always had this pride of, I didn't finish school, yet I'm very successful in life, which he is. So there was always this understatement of either you go to school, right, to do something that he didn't do, or you follow in his footsteps. There was like, no. You're either walking the same road as me, or you're walking parallel. Now, as I'm older, I'm grateful that he put me in an apartment, and I'm more grateful that I never got financial help for that apartment. Never got it. And I'm very grateful for that because it teaches me a lesson, right? The apartment comes first. Food I can manage. I can go eat ramen if I need to. I don't care. So I knew those relationships weren't gonna last, and I knew those social interactions weren't gonna last. And I think even then I understood when are gonna be the next one. What if I found a job in a year and a half, right? What if I find a job then? Am I gonna be able to socialize? And so I didn't know. So I started trying to make friends. Right? And they saw me as this weird kid. So they saw me as this weird kid. And I remember gouging into being a weird kid, because I was so in need of social interaction. I was so in need of social contact. I was so in need of that human and societal aspect of life that I was willing to play the role. So I would hype it up. I would play the role of the weird kid. Right now, am I saying you should do that? Absolutely not. Everything you need to do, be yourself. Don't hype it up. People are not able to accept who you are for who you are. Fuck them, right? Don't pay attention to haters or people that does not worth your attention. They didn't know, and I was playing this weird character. Now, I was getting the social interaction, but of course it didn't last. And then I got a job, and that job, of course, I was so used to playing the weird guy, right? That I was so used to playing that weird guy that that's what I did, right? And I did it at A&W, my first job, at Costco, my second job, at IG, this third job. IG at the end, so IG I worked there for a year. Costco I worked there for 3 months because I had to go for Cancun for a stage, for a internship as you guys call it. And yeah, the other job were all agency work. They were temporary. But IGA, I was willing to be myself at the very end, you know? Which is something that IGA, weirdly enough, was a really good social opportunity for your boy. Really, really good, because you have to deal with a customer, but you have to treat differently. And you have to deal with your coworker, which you can deal like friends, you know? So, and then I got the job. And then I was into this weird state where the first couple of jobs that I had, and when I say the first couple of jobs, the first year and a half when I was working for agency worker, as an agency worker, I would be 2 months there, 3 months there, 4 months there. So what's the point of having friends that aren't going to last, right? So once again, I was this quiet kid. And I found a job, which was quarterback. You guys know it. I talk about it often. And in that job, I stayed for a while. And again, I was this weird guy. Now, the reality was I was the youngest also. So when you're in a workshop, there's always this way you're treating younger people. There's always going to be this way you treat older people. Younger people in workshop, I'm sorry to say, are normally bitches. So, it's a term we use in workshop. So basically, if you're the youngest, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, because you're the youngest. You're the most, you know? And then the mentality is a raw mentality, but it's a mentality that's a logical one. So for example, when you're the youngest kid at work, they'll make you work harder because you're the youngest, right? And then you gain experience, and then you're no longer the youngest. And then the new youngest, right, is gonna be the one to work a lot. So the mentality here is the older I get, the less I have to do work. It's a constant cycle because there's always going to be new people coming in, and there's always going to be people to age. So it's a constant cycle. It's a toxic cycle, but it's a constant cycle, right? And I was this weird guy, and I watched a show that changed my life. Like you said, Kenny versus Penny. And I remember back then, I had a girlfriend. She was really the one. I really love that girl. Really love. My first love, my first romance, Leia. Leia Momsi. And we had some friend in common. That's how we met. And I was silly with her because she was silly too. We're very similar, and the way we acted. And but I was sweeter with her when we were alone. I was different. It's like, why can't you show those people this side of you? And subconsciously, I understood one thing. I'm like, well, I crave attention so much that I don't mind being the butt of the joke, because I crave attention, because I crave that human contact. And even then, I was working at that very period of time. I was working at a job where I was working 12 hours a day, and I was working 3 days a week. So for 3 days a week, we were working 12 hours, and after 5 and 6 hours, I was tired. So I wasn't the most talkative person. I'm like, shit, you know? And then I had this show, Kenny vs. Penny, who taught me this very important lesson. People are so focused. And I had this lesson at 20 years old. I started working, I was 21. I was 20 or 21. I don't remember. I was in this apartment, so technically 20. Yeah. 2000. I think it's 2012. Holy shit. Holy shit. Yeah, 2012. October 2012. So technically, this is my 12th year in this apartment. And 10 versus 20, there was this mentality. You guys are working so hard to always show, always show this perfect version of you. You always are trying to show that, right? And when you fail, people are like, what's wrong with that person? They're usually not like that. But then when you show that you're not the perfect version, when you show who you are and not trying to be someone else or trying to give you 100%, there's nothing wrong with giving 100%. But understanding, and that's really important lesson I could teach you guys. Understanding that you're not able to give your 100% every single day of the week, every single day of the month, every single day of the year is perfectly normal. There's gonna be a day where you don't feel it. There's gonna be a day where you're not in the mood to do a great job. There's gonna be days where you don't feel motivated. And that happened, that's fine. It's not about you not feeling motivated, it's about how can you feel motivated once again. That's the important part. The rest we don't give a fuck. Okay? And what I'm trying to say with this is I understood at a very young age, which was 20. And people and this is something that I'm hearing often, I'm seeing often. I talk about young ink at 20 years old. I talk about kid ink when I was 25. And people don't why no, you were not a kid, you were older. And then some people that are a bit more sinister than others think, are you using that as an excuse? Like I said, my high school years, I don't remember shit. It's in here, but I don't remember shit. Because I was so zonked out. I remember coming back home and my father asking me, what did you learn today at school? And I remember having to think about it. And for example, that day I had French, math, science, and history. Someday I would remember what was said in history. Someday it was French. Apparently it was science. And even then I realized how little I was retaining information. So yeah, I often refer to this period of time at my 20 years old, my 25 years old, as Kid Ink, because Kid Ink was himself. There was no medication. I stopped taking medication at 18 years old. My life, discovering myself as an adult, started at 18 years old. Discovering who I was started at 18 years old. Now, you're thinking a very shy kid, myself. And I know what you're saying, Ink, you're not shy. To a certain degree, I'm not shy. But even back then, I'm a pro at small talk. When it comes to small talk, I'm the best. Talk about the weather, I'll talk about you, and in most cases, what I used to do then, and I still do today to a certain degree, is I'll talk about you. I'll talk about you a lot. Like, I'll ask questions, I'll ask about you, I'll ask you your opinion, I'll say, please be more precise. And yes, I do care about your opinion, I do care about what other people think, I do care about other people's view of life, because to me it's important, right? But there's a lot of time where I do this to avoid having to talk or having to talk about this. For example, if there's a situation, the Palestine and Gaza situation, right? If people ask me about that, I'm not gonna, what do you think about it? Because I don't know the information and I'm not gonna look up a genocide, right? I'm not gonna look up who's a good guy in a genocide. I'm not gonna do that. And I'm not gonna politicize, I'm not gonna mediatize a tragedy on both camps. I don't care who you're supporting, I don't care if you're pro-Gaza, I don't care if you're pro-Palestine. None of those camps are clean. None of those camps are victimless. And none of those camps are without flaws. They both have pawns in this game. In this game called life. I come back with ADHD. The thing with ADHD was socializing was really hard for me because I was this erased person, and then I had to discover myself. But discovering myself came after understanding other people because, again, you're discovering yourself, but you're still craving that human touch, right? And then you think the world. So there's time where you, especially you, not me, you, I've thought that you were right. Thought about situation. Oh, if something happened like that, I would do this. We're all guilty of that. But imagine having to discover yourself and being put with that. It was hard. It was really hard. So socializing came in very, very hard for me. And I am so, but so thankful for the last job that I had PCT. And it showed me so much. I was a wussy when I came into PCT. I was always saying, okay, I'm sorry. I was always apologizing. Even though I knew that people were wronging me. And it was a toxic place. PCT was toxic. But it was this very weird sense of toxic. You see, PCT was toxic, but every single person nourished that toxicity, right? It was the classic old boys club, talking about vagina, talking about fucking, using some slurs, which was, and this place changed me. And often I think about how this place might have made me a worse person than I was. But then, the person I was would have not survived social media. You know? On social media, when I came in, I was a faceless streamer. And I know I said that often. But you have to realize one thing. And again, I'm able to recognize that I was at fault. I'm not saying this for other faceless streamers. I'm saying it for myself. I was a faceless streamer. That way I had social interaction without having to invest time in it. I didn't have to show my face. People thought I was an asshole. They didn't know me. I don't care. They didn't know Steph. They know Stefan. And you invented that. Oh, you invented as an asshole. And then I made a community, and I was thankful, and I showed my face, and I never thought I was going to be invested the way I am. Now, a lot of social interaction that I have are online. But if tomorrow I was supposed to go into a content house, I wouldn't be able to. Socially speaking, I'm way better than I was, but I'm still behind. So yeah, so definitely a weird one. And before I leave, I'll give you one last example of how to explain how it was. So you take this kid who is homeschooled, okay? And then you put him in the world. You tell him you have to work. And this kid has a good head on his shoulder. You understand a lot of things. He's able to work. There's no problem there. But then there's social interaction. And he wasn't raised to do that. He wasn't used to do that. When it comes to that, he's totally failing. Now, telling about the same thing about an ADHD kid, but instead of a house, we're talking about a brain. That brain is the house. No matter how you picture a brain, it is four-sided. No matter how you perceive a house, it is four-sided. And on that note, I let you guys go. Love y'all. Take it easy. Peace.